forward to this computer. So I think we are recording now. So let's begin. Hello, my name is Kevin O'Brien, and welcome to the next YR World presentation. Today we are joined by Lais Carvalho, and she is joining us from Dublin. So I hope I pronounced that right. I've never perfected that. How?
That's perfect, Kevin. Yes, that's perfect. Lais Carvalho.
So Lais is involved in she's well known in the YR community. She has presented a lot of our YR webinars and indeed has produced even more. So we appreciate a lot of her efforts. In this presentation though, we're going to go into ask her about everything else that she does. So in the first instance, Lais, can you tell us about who you are, where you're from, what you did up until recently, your career path, just to sort of give us a bit of a taste of your background?
Absolutely, yes. Perfect. So yeah, as you said, Lais Carvalho is my name. I started working with programming language communities with the Python programming language. And that was I think it was around August or September 2018, most likely. I started with PyLadies. That was the first contact I had. Yes, I met Vicky before I met anyone else.
Who's just to sort of say, Vicky is Vicky Tormey Lee, who runs Coding Grace in Dublin and also PyLadies in Dublin, and she's quite well known in the Python community. Sorry to interrupt, but yeah.
And she was part of the Python Island as well for I think.
That's correct. Yes, that's correct.
Years, right?
Yep.
Yes. So I went to say hello and to ask her what I could do for volunteering and all. And she said that PyLadies was okay, but Python Island might need people. And exactly. So I left the meetup, and then I got home and I sent an email to Python Island. I was like, well, maybe they have something for me to do. And I ended up helping with my first Python then. That was right after that. And it was quite cool. So first PyCon, I was speaker liaison. And it was a lot of fun. I met loads of speakers. There was so many people. It was my first PyCon as well. So first PyCon, helping organize it, it was loads of fun. But okay, so the other part of the question, so what do I do? I am a developer advocate for an American company called Open Teams. So for those of you who are not 100% sure what a developer advocate is or what we do, the way I like to define developer advocacy is a junction of the 3 C's. So it's basically code, content, and community. We are kind of the liaison between the software and the engineering department inside of a company and the users. We also liaise a little bit with marketing. We go around and talk to PR, sales. So we do a little bit of everything. We're the, let's say, the oil and the helps the machine to keep running nicely. And we also work loads of users and bring feedback, the feedback that they have back into development to try and adjust the product roadmap a little bit more into what a user would need. And so the tutorials, for example, that you do online when you're trying to learn a new tool, that most likely a developer advocate was the person that put that together. So yeah, you're more in contact with us that you know in general. And then the third question that was there is to who I am and where I came from. I'm Brazilian. I am from São Paulo, the southeast of Brazil. I lived in Fortaleza, the northeast of Brazil, for 8 years before I moved to Dublin. And that was a little bit less than 6 years ago. I moved here because I was studying engineering and I got a scholarship. Then I decided to change courses all over and I changed from engineering to IT, and I'm about to graduate. I will be graduating in 5 months. So that's a lot of fun. And my background is then in civil and environmental engineering. And that's how I got here.
Excellent. So, good stuff. So excellent. So this is actually a very interesting part about how the tech community operates. So this is common to all sorts of tech communities, or Python, all the other open source data communities, that they would be a lot of people involved in this stuff, like developer relations, community advocacy, and so on. And it is a big part of what happens behind the scenes. Just so then, it's just actually there is actually it is actually a career path that a lot of people don't know about. Is that fair to say?
Yes, absolutely. I was invited by Coding Black Females at London. It's a London community tech for Black people. And we were talking, I was invited there to talk about developer advocacy. And I was surprised to see that in an audience of around 80 people, we only had around 10 people that actually have heard of developer advocacy. And I have to say, the market is booming for developer advocates. There's almost every day there's a company. Apple is looking for, it's decided to graduate interns for developer advocacy because they can't find it. MongoDB is looking for developer advocates for, I think, 4 or 5 months right now. NumFocus, they're looking for developer advocates for a year. So there is a huge need of developer advocates everywhere. And there is still a lot of people that don't know, that like coding, but like people more, and don't know that they can do both and help driving the communities that they like so much to be better places for everyone.
I'm very interested in 2 points you raised there about a passion for the community, just the general tech community, and also having a career that has you interacting with a lot of people a lot. So those are 2 very interesting skill sets to sort of remember to develop in your career. Would you agree on that?
Absolutely. Yes. Because that's how it was for me. I was, I bet there's many people watching this that would think, well, this person told me that I don't really look like a coder, or that I might not be a good coder. I've been through this because I have loads of energy. So for me, it's a little bit difficult to sit down in front of a computer and stay staring at a code editor for 10 hours. So I thought I could never work with code. I could never work with any type of code at all, because I wasn't good enough of a coder. But then I found out that the industry is much more complex and it's much more vast than we know when we're coming in. And well, what I would say is, if you think that if you're passionate about community, if you like helping people, if code maybe might not be your first option of a job, but you know how to do it and you don't hate it, then developer advocacy could be something that you could be doing. And if that's something that you think you could do, or that you're a little bit more interested in finding stuff about it, the first thing I would say is, since it's such a new career, the first thing that I would say is find a good mentor. Go on PyCons, go anywhere, look at talks from different subjects, see what people are doing, look for developer advocates themselves, and see who speaks closer to you, who has a style similar to yours, and then send them a message and see what you can absorb from them, because it's a huge community and everyone loves helping, especially when they see that there's people interested and it's for the good of everyone. So
it's fair to say that people who are very passionate about community are also very passionate about mentoring. So I think it would be fair to say you're pushing an open door there.
yes, absolutely.
Very good. Excellent. That's great. So the next question actually is going back to the idea of a speaker liaison. So it actually just sort of your recent history in terms of being involved in the community. So you were the speaker liaison in Python Ireland, actually in PyCon Ireland 2019. Just tell us a little bit more about that role.
Okay, so yeah, the name is unusual, and I was I really didn't know what I was doing when I started initially. But basically, the speaker liaison is that person that introduces the speaker before the talk. So here we're talking, it's good to highlight that we're talking about in-person conferences now.
Yep.
Because that's when I started, and that's what initially I did.
Yeah.
So was the person going to the stage and introducing the speaker, having a little bit of a prepared speech, having a few questions ready in case people by the end of the talk don't have any questions, try to drive a little bit of discussion around the subject, just driving engagement. So that's the way I see a speaker liaison, is that person that tries to drive a little bit more engagement than the organic engagement would be in a speaker room.
Okay. Would you also have been in contact with each of the speakers beforehand the conference, just to sort of like confirm their times and so on, and see what time their flight is? Was that be part of the job?
You see, emails, yes. I didn't actually join the more of personal assistant kind of part of the role. So like the asking them if when they're arriving and all that kind of stuff. I didn't do that part, but I tried to make sure that everyone was around their session, around their location when their session was about to start. I tried to make sure that all the attendees kind of knew where to go. I tried to make sure that all the speakers knew where they should be on the specific time. But I personally, I only took care of them when they arrived to the venue.
Okay, yeah.
I didn't do it them beforehand.
It's still very reassuring for a speaker to go to a conference and know that they have a point of contact who's there to help them. And, just actually out of curiosity, did you find this like helped your career, like in terms of networking? There's an expression I'm a big fan of, that your network is your net worth. Would that be, what would be your thoughts on that?
Yes, I would have to agree with that. Yeah, absolutely. Because so initially I started because of the fun, because of well, I'm gonna be part of this something that is bigger than me and involves Python, and everyone is so excited about Python, and I was so excited about Python. Well, still am. But then when I got there, I had the opportunity to talk to these people that are absolutely incredible. They're amazing, and the things that they have been putting together and the ways that you're able to get a glimpse on how they're brilliant people look at the world, and it's fascinating. So first of all, that you learn how to ask questions, you learn how to pay attention to what people are saying. You learn that you know absolutely nothing, but the networking bit, it's also fascinating, because initially you think that, well, I'm no one is going to want to talk to me in this place. It's a bunch of PhDs and people that make robots and networks. It's like, who am I? But everyone is so cool and so full of attention and asked so many questions, and so interested on what were the things that I was doing. And good friendships came out of that, my first PyCon. And I can even say that a job came out of that, basically.
Excellent.
Yeah, so yes, absolutely. I would advise to anyone at least once in their life to stop what they're doing and go and volunteer for a PyCon, because the people that you meet and the experience that you have is just incredible.
Excellent. You continued on in the tech career. So the PyCon happened in the winter of 2019, and so next year was 2020, which was the year that COVID came upon us. So how did this affect your career?
To be honest with you, COVID was actually, I hope this is not frowned upon, but it was actually not detrimental at all to my career. Due to COVID, I was able to get a job with a really interesting, a really cool company, a job that I really enjoyed doing, with a company that was not local. It was not in Dublin. It was in London. And the only reason why I was able to get that job was, well, because all the jobs went remotely by then.
Okay.
And the other reason why I got this job was because of someone that I met in the conference that ended up talking to them about me. And anyway, and then I decided that was a good time as well to start doing a little bit of active work for our community. And that's when I started with the YR Foundation.
That's correct. So just to again say that Lais is actually the presenter of quite a few of our webinars, and actually has also produced even more. So she's one of the engine. She's part of the engine room that keeps our webinar series going, and YR are very appreciative of her efforts there. Good stuff. And so the webinars and virtual events have featured a lot in your career in 2020, and obviously you obviously with great success. So it's would it be fair to say that people should could consider that line of, or some more along that line of work as developing their careers?
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. But you see, for me, it worked very well. I started in the community, and then not that long after I started in the community, I got a job, and then there was another job offered, and then things just started to like fit together very, very nicely. I do think that was because of how active I was around the community, and how many people I started talking to. But some people, it's not for everyone.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
definitely
Yeah.
not for everyone. Not everyone feels comfortable about going and helping to introduce speakers or talking to them or setting up the actual encounters. So what I think that is for everyone is find a way of getting your head out of yourself for a while.
Okay.
Find time to do something for the community, because if you use open source, it's only fair that you have to find time to give a little bit back to the community that has helped you so much. So hosting, not for everyone, but volunteering for the community should be, and it is for everyone, because the community is needed and there's plenty of things to do. And most of them are not even related to code, they're related to sending emails.
Excellent. I was just going to bring up that point there to highlight the importance of a lot of soft skills, that if you have technical skills and your career is going well, that's great. But if you actually are interested in technology, but your strong side is sort of say the soft skills or not non-code skills, that there's a lot of ways that you can contribute. Like, for example, if you're very comfortable in front of a camera, that you can present and talk and keep Q&As, questions and answer sessions going, so that there is a lot of room to contribute there. Even if your career young and actually you do want to develop your code base, but you can still be involved before you're mature as a coder. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely, absolutely. That was me. I started there, and it was people talking about code. It was like, I'm not 100% sure what a virtual environment is, but I'll play along. And well, here we are now.
Excellent.
So, yes.
So what's your so we're gonna play, we're nearly finished really, I think. So just actually it's February 2021 now. What is your goals for the future? What would you like to do yourself, and what would you like to see for the open source tech communities?
Interesting. That's a great question. Well, okay. I'm gonna throw a wish. It's a big wish, and I hope it's not impossible, but I know it's gonna be a little bit difficult to get there. But I wish that in the next 5 years, we would find a way to produce open source software as people, as the tech industry in general. I wish in the next 5 years we would find a way to produce open source software that is not relying on one developer that is not being paid, that needs to be awake and the weekends and the middle of the night to be able to do 100 of lines code review, and then push the code on GitHub for 100,000 people to use it. what I wish, my wish for the open source community is that we find a way of making open source software sustainable and not exploitable, as I've been seeing for the last while.
Okay.
And I also wish that we can start trusting companies to use open source the way that open source should be used. We have been seeing a few things that are not necessarily the nicest in the last while to do with open source. And lastly, I wish that colleges started teaching people how to contribute to open source from their first year.
Okay, that's a very interesting one. Yeah, yeah. Excellent.
Because knowing GitHub is a huge skill, and knowing how to work in groups and knowing how to contribute and knowing how to talk to people is huge, and how to write your issues and how to write a PR. And we need those skills. And I wish colleges would start doing this a little bit earlier.
That's great. Yeah, excellent. So we'll a final thought, and we'll say goodbye in this. That I think the experiences over the last year have been related to the remote events, virtual events, and remote participation, and so on. And that has been the feature of a lot of events and conferences and tech community initiatives. So it's great to think now that going forward, that people all over the world will be able to be part of the tech community together, and it won't be centralized in Northern Europe or Western Europe and North America, and that people all around the world will be able to be full partners in the tech community. I think, would you agree on that? That's something we're trying to build together with YR.
Yes,
and
yes,
other communities,
absolutely.
but YR here, yeah.
Absolutely. And actually, if I could say a dream that I would have for the R community, actually for this year, would be to have a pajamas edition, but R styled. So for those of you who are not aware, pajamas is my conference with the developer advocate of Terminus DB, Chok Ting Ho. It's a Python conference that goes through 24 hours to try and include everyone. And it's 24 hours and everyone is invited to present wearing pajamas. So you put on your pajamas, you sit on your sofa or your bed, and then you give your talk.
Excellent.
And I think we should definitely do this for the AI community as well. I think that would be quite interesting.
That's definitely the idea. I think our studio have already sort of had a look at that idea already, but the pajamas element is definitely something to sort of bring it forward. I think, Lais, we leave it there. I think that's great talk. Thanks very much for joining us. Hopefully you'll be seeing Lais very soon again in some more of our webinars, and probably helping me do a couple of these more YR World sessions in the future when you have more free time, of course, because you're very busy right now.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit, but in the future. Okay, Lais, I think we'll leave it there. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Kevin. It was a pleasure. Thanks a million.